How many times are we going to hear that someone was killed, someone was hurt, someone was maimed because a career criminal was let out on the streets? Well, just this week, an off-duty NYPD officer was shoved onto the subway tracks, allegedly by a thug with 18 priors. Aaron Walker is now charged with attempted murder. He was arrested 2 days after being put on supervised release for assault on the subway. Of course, we all remember 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee stabbed to death on a commuter train. And now we're going to introduce you to Logan Federico, a 22-year-old aspiring teacher. She was visiting friends when a 30-year-old with a lengthy rap sheet broke in and murdered her in cold blood.
Right, Shalom, giving all praises and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved. I am the brother Kalab from the GMS UK London Forecasters Camp, coming back at you with another lesson to help edify those of which I spoke of. So I was browsing through the news articles and I found this one. And I was just watching it, and what you can see here is it's another case of Esau trying to push the narrative that these young, innocent, lily white women are being targeted and attacked by the evil so-called black man, right? As you can see on the screen here, you've got the image of a guy who they claim allegedly murdered this guy's daughter. And what are they showing? They're showing the image of, let me rewind it a bit. You can see that the perpetrator of the crime, I should say the alleged perpetrator of the crime here, is a so-called black man, right? But the daughter, you see, you got there the sweet so-called innocent lily white woman who wouldn't hurt a fly. That's the image and the narrative they're pushing, that their innocent, sweet lily white daughters are being, attacked and destroyed by the so-called black man. So this is another case of Esau trying to push that narrative, because, a lot of Edomites buy into this, and a lot of Edomites feel threatened, and they're already, basically Edomites by their very nature are already threatened, intimidated by Jake, and these kind of stories are only serving to rile up their, anger and hatred towards the so-called Negro, Latino, Hispanic, Native American peoples even more. Why do you think these ICE raids are getting so much support from the so-called white people? Because there's no such thing as white people. That's just a social construct. What these people really are, according to the Bible, are red Hebrew Edomites. Why are they called red? Because their blood shows forth through their skin. And when they're known as the biblical Edomites. And when you go into the meaning of the word Edom, it means red. Because Esau's, as I said, blood shows forth through their skin. And his name is called, their name, they're known as the Edomites, the descendants of Esau. But today they call themselves so-called white people in attempt to, repackage and remarket themselves as a so-called virtuous, pure, innocent people, which couldn't be anything further from the truth. These people are known as the wicked, according to the Bible. Let's get it. First of all, let me just quantify Esau's name being Edom. Let's start from here. Genesis 25 and 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh. And the Lord Yahweh said unto her, through the mouth of a prophet, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manners of people shall be separated from my bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Right? So there's two twins in Rebecca's womb. These 2 nations described here are the final two nations that were to come to the face of the earth, which is the nation of Israel, which is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly, but also, you know, you're going to get Israelites who look like the other nations, meaning that they could look like so-called white people or Indian people or, you know, anything else. But if their seed line by their forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then they too are Israelites no matter what they may look like, right? So that's the nation of Israel, and you've got the nation of Edom, which is predominantly so-called white people on the face of the earth. A lot of them are actually Edomites, right? Their biblical name is Edom. So it says here, the elder shall serve the younger, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, which in the Hebrew would be Isashua, which means wasted away is he, you know, because their flesh, when they come out of their mother's womb, has no melanin, so they look like they're wasted away. You know, they've got biblical leprosy, you know, they're clean lepers. And after that, his brother came out, his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, meaning that Jacob came out looking normal as opposed to Esau. Because the reason why Esau had leprosy is because a mark was put upon him in his previous incarnation when he was Cain. And he came back on the earth bearing that mark being biblical leprosy, right? And after that came out his brother, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came in from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint, meaning that the meat wasn't properly cooked. Still had blood in it. But Esau didn't care, because Esau doesn't care about the law, statutes and commandments of the Heavenly Father. He casts them behind his back, right? And it says, therefore was his name called Edom. Yeah, and Jacob said to sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. What profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So that tells you that the Edomites are the nation of Edom. Now, if you go to Genesis 36, I think it's 36 and 1. Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. There you go. So that proves that Esau, the Edomites, Esau is the progenitor of the nation of Edom, which is the Edomites. So going back to this news article here, you've got this so-called, you got this Edomite here. You can tell it's an Edomite because you can see clearly his blood is showing forth through his skin. Because look at the colour of his shirt. He's got that pink shirt, and his face is a darker red than even that pink shirt that he's wearing and that pink tie. That's Esau for you, right? You can even see another red devil in the background, right? And even on the bottom of the screen, you've got some other Edomites. So you've got what's that? J.K. Rowling and that actress girl who was in Harry Potter. What's her name? Is it Emma Watson? You know, you can see clearly that they lack melanin. You know, and their blood shows forth through their skin. When they get angry, their faces turn all red, or when they get embarrassed, they turn like bright red like a beetroot. You know, as you can see here. Now, in the news, they're pushing this story.
2-year-old.
That, you know, again, here you've got the so-called, you know, what do they call that? You know, the American so-called prom queen, you know, sweet as apple pie, good, all white, you know, Lilly white woman who wouldn't hurt a fly, innocent, girl with the red rosy cheeks. Now she's been murdered by the terrible, evil, dark-skinned
firing
black
teacher.
man.
She was visiting friends when a 30-year-old with a lengthy rap sheet.
There you go. See, they're painting that narrative that all these so-called Negroes are evil, and we need to deport them all, or we need to round them all up because they're basically career criminals who are coming for your daughters. That's the narrative that's being presented, and it's the narrative that's being pushed. And it's the second time they're doing this, because a few weeks ago you had that Ukrainian girl on a subway train who got stabbed again by another so-called black man in a random act of violence. Now we don't know what could have been going on. This whole thing could have been set up to create this narrative which Esau seems to be taking the ball and running with. And a lot of those American Edomites are buying into this narrative because deep down inside they've always had a hatred for Jacob, and they'll use any excuse to want to act out on the hatred. And what we're coming into is the times of Jacob's trouble, because there's going to come a time when these Edomites are going to show their real claws. They're going to show their real hatred and anger for Jake, and they're going to come down on the nation of Israel. And what does it say? Revelation 12:12. Let's get that one. Revelation 12:12 says, "Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." So these Edomites are going to come down on the nation of Israel with great wrath, because they know they've got a short time. So basically all these news articles are doing is stirring the pot, heating up that hatred until it eventually boils over and erupts into Esau taking matters into his own hands and carnally coming down on you Israelites. So let's play a bit more of this.
Broke in and murdered her in cold blood.
Think about your child coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. Bang! Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 times, 25 felonies, was on the street. You will be sick and tired of my face and my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. Stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us. Please. You have the power. We put you in the power to do what you have to do. We're asking you, we're begging you all to stop this.
Here with me is that father you just heard, Stephen Federico. Stephen, I saw that video and I was enraged right along with you. First of all, I'm so sorry for the loss of your daughter. It is a heartbreak. I have a daughter about the same age, and you say that Logan's suspected killer, Alexander Dickey, was treated with more respect, seemed to have more rights than she did. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at his criminal resume, he's got 39 crimes, 25 felonies. And they cared more about making sure he wasn't put in prison than worrying about whether or not he was going to hurt somebody. His crimes escalated every time he committed a new one. I mean, he finally graduated.
See that? They show the images of the the sweet apple pie, sweet as apple pie, all American Lily white woman, and then they're putting up the images of the so-called evil black man here with the mugshots. They're painting that narrative, man, because that's the narrative Esau wants to push, and as I say, it's only going to further serve to rile up these Edomites to come down on Jacob with great wrath when that time comes.
Did a jackpot and executed our daughter. I mean, we're still trying to hear from the South Carolina solicitor to see what he's going to do, whether or not he's going to seek the death penalty or not, which obviously it checks all the boxes that it does. But they're more concerned about keeping criminals out of the prisons and out of the institutions than they are putting them in there to try to rehabilitate them. You can't rehabilitate some of these guys. It's just impossible.
Steve, there was a moment during this hearing when a Democrat, Congresswoman Deborah Ross, confused your daughter with another victim. Let's watch this.
I also want to express my deepest condolences to the family of Irina Zarutska. We should have been doing more to prevent crime and address the lack of mental health care long before this hearing, particularly.
My daughter. This isn't Irina.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is my daughter.
I am so sorry.
Okay?
I am so sorry.
This is Logan Federico. And she was before Irina.
I am so
4 months before.
I'm so sorry for your loss, and my heart goes out to you.
Dare you not know her?
Steve, we heard the activists 5 years ago say, know her name, know his name. And you think this was more than just a mistake. It's a general sense of carelessness and heartlessness that just had to have added to the pain that I know you're already feeling as a parent.
It was humiliating. I mean, I did my homework before I went to the meeting. I would have known exactly who I was talking to. The meeting was about violence against, the innocent. And not to know who Logan was, her picture was right there. They're blondes, they're beautiful, but not to know who you were referring to, it was a little embarrassing and hurtful.
Steve, how are you? This is what I thought of when I saw you in the video. How are you as a father getting through this?
Well, I'm fighting for Logan. I have to be Logan's voice because nobody else will be. I don't have anybody fighting for her. I don't have anybody fighting for her justice. Somebody has to fight for the innocent people that are left there. We've got to make some drastic changes here in our system. People like Alexander Dickey should not be on the street. People know that. There's no reasonable argument that somebody can give me why he was on the street. They just can't, and they won't. They haven't. They hadn't even tried. Okay?
They have
someone has to
answer.
stand up.
They have no answer.
There's zero
for
answer.
You. Yeah, they don't want to answer. But you confronted them, Steve, with the truth and with the righteous anger of a father. And I salute you. I actually going to get teared up on this segment because it's so upsetting. I'm praying for you and your family because I know peace is going to be hard to get, but we're really praying for you. And thank you for doing what you're doing. And anything I can do to help you, you know how to get in touch with me, and I mean it. Okay, Steve?
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click.
Yeah, there you have it. So let's get one more precept here. This is because this was coming down the pipe, Jeremiah 30 and verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so there is none like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So we're coming into a time of great trouble for the nation of Israel because these Edomites, they're going to come down bearing all their anger and hatred towards our people, and they're going to start acting it out. And the Most High is going to allow that to happen because this is part of the Most High's will, because the nation of Israel, for the most part, is a nation of rebellious and wicked Jake. And this is part of how the Most High is going to judge the nation. Ultimately, he's going to judge the nation with fire when those nukes start getting sent. Yeah. But prior to that, it's going to be a time of great trouble and great tribulation for the nation of Israel. But the elect shall be saved out of it and preserved from those perils, because the Spirit of the Lord is going to be with his elect to get through those times. Now, there's another scripture I want to get before I close out. This is Job 4 verse 7. And this says, because they're trying to present that girl who died, again, as an innocent, sweet prom queen, all-American, apple pie, wouldn't hurt anybody type character, but she was a woman. And what did the scripture say? All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. And also, let's try to get a picture of her on the screen. So there's the guy who so-called killed her.
For assault on the subway with 18 prior. Introduce you to Logan.
They're trying to present her as sweet, innocent, didn't deserve to die, all this kind of madness, right? But Job 4 and 7 says this: Remember, I pray thee, who ever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Meaning that she wasn't innocent, and she died because the Most High brought judgment upon her for her sins. Now, obviously, this is a case of murder, and according to the law of the Bible, it should be, an eye for an eye, wound for wound, tooth for tooth. This guy should, if he did it, he should be put to death too, according to the Bible. But the point is that the Most High sometimes raises up people to fulfill his will, and then brings judgment upon them for doing it. But ultimately, it was the Lord's will that these people got taken out and put to death. So this girl who died, she wasn't innocent. As much as Esau's news to try and portray her as innocent, she wasn't. And people's spiritual understanding of the Holy Bible will understand that reality and understand that truth. But again, ultimately, what do they say? These Edomites say, don't let a good crisis go to waste. This is an example of that. And Esau's using this as fuel to stoke the flames of the fire, to incite that racial hatred of Edomites towards Israelites, which will ultimately culminate in bringing on Jacob's trouble. So Lord willing, that was an edifying quick little lesson. With that, I want to give all praises, honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. And I'll catch you in the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom for now.